What's going on, Ambitious Vet? Welcome to episode number 52 of the Ambitious Vet Show with Marine veteran, celebrity chef, author, and diabetes advocate, Ronaldo Linares. Welcome to the Ambitious Vet, where we believe if you desire more, you have to become more. My name is Chris Hoffman, Marine combat veteran turned passion-driven entrepreneur. On this show, I dive into the trenches with today's top military veteran thought leaders and influencers who know what it takes to not only pay the bills after the military, but really make an impact. You're going to hear their stories, their failures, and golden grenades to empower you to execute on what matters most in your life. What's going on, Ambitious Vet? First and foremost, just want to say thank you for joining us for episode number 52. Big shout out to iHeartRadio for just approving this podcast. Now we just opened up in the United Kingdom. So what up, United Kingdom? Thanks for, the listeners that have downloaded it. That is now our 9th country this podcast is hitting. Guys, in other news, Kirby Ingalls is the big winner of the Ambitious Vet March to 1,000. Now, we didn't quite hit our mark inside the Facebook group, guys, but as I just announced live inside the group yesterday, is you miss 99% of the shots you don't take. That's a Wayne Gretzky quote, right? We shot high, and we're celebrating the small wins that led us up to this point. I mean, the group in the past 28 days has grown by over 422%, over 116 new veterans that didn't even know that there was the Ambitious Vet Tribe available, now has the resources, the connections, the tools, and all the content and video archives that are all inside that tribe readily accessible to them, guys. And I got to thank you, the people that are believing in this movement, for bringing all those people around this movement. So guys, it's people like you that continue to have us make the impact that fulfills our hearts and hopefully narrows the gap from where you're at to where you want to go out of the uniform.
Hey, this is Steven, host of Knucklehead Podcast, and you're listening to the Ambitious Vet Podcast with Chris Hoffman.
All right, so before we go ahead and jump into the trenches with Ronaldo Linares, I'm really excited to bring that to you. I want to ask you a quick question, Ambitious Vet. Wherever you're at, are you feeling like you're more reactive out of the uniform versus being proactive? Maybe you were like me 3 years ago, where you felt like you were fighting hard in the trenches out of the uniform to become more, but you just don't feel like you're winning or progressing. Guys, it's more normal than you think. I've interviewed over 100 people, on this podcast and in person, just to figure out what are the major things that stop us as veterans that get out and desire more to becoming more and creating that impact, creating more opportunity and just creating increase in our life, no matter if it's happiness, fulfillment, more money, more purpose in life, guys. And here's the thing. Is if you're looking to get more direction, you want more accountability, maybe you just want some frameworks to inspire new independent thought, new ideas for you to get unstuck in your life and create that lasting success that you deeply desire in your heart after the uniform. I'm inviting you to leverage my experiences, my resources, my network, and more importantly, my failures to just narrow your gap in you becoming who you desire after the military. Guys, I'm a strong believer in after 3 to 6 years out of being out of the uniform, that's when the free resources kind of run out of gas. From there forward, you've got to start figuring out how do you start surrounding yourself with people that are willing to pay to play to become more. Guys, I'm challenging you to click the link in the show notes below. Let's have a 15-minute sniper-like strategy execution call, and let's get ahead of the landmines, the setbacks and the failures that knock us as ambitious vets back, and we don't know how to get back on course to creating that impactful life. If that sounds like you, if this touches you in any way, shape, or form, I want to help increase the quality of your life. I want to help pull you out of the trenches and allow you to create the trenches in your life, guys. If that sounds like you, go ahead and click the link below. Let's schedule a free 15-minute sniper-like focused strategy execution call, and let's dive into the trenches together. The moment you've been waiting for, time to introduce Ronaldo Linares. Ronaldo describes his approach to life as he does his cooking, modern techniques with ancestral flavors. Ronaldo gives más sabor to everything he does, or in gringo terms, as he would say, more flavor. He's an associate at Di Martino and a Cuban restaurant in the Somerville, New Jersey area, and has partnered with Health First Insurance. He's an American Heart Association national spokesperson for the Healthy for Good campaign and also shares his knowledge with the AARP Caregivers Program. Now, above all, he's a devout husband and father. Born in Colombia during the turbulent cartel wars of the 1980s, cooking has saved him in many ways and has been the main ingredient in Ronaldo's journey from young immigrant to rebellious teen to successful chef, media personality, and leader. While he first honed his knife skills as a teen, clocking long hours in his family's restaurant, Ronaldo's food voice began to take shape while he was a sergeant and food service specialist in the United States Marine Corps, nearly serving 6,000 men daily. There, he learned about regional American food and began to infuse it with his Cuban sazon. Following his Marine Corps service, Ronaldo enrolled in the Institute of Culinary Education in New York City, where he graduated with high honors. In 2016, Ronaldo was named Influencer of the Year by the Latinos in Tech Innovation and Social Media, and honored by the statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of New Jersey as Culinary Person of the Year. Ronaldo has showcased his culinary style on Food Network's Chopped, BBC America's Cross Country Chef Competition Chef Race, and appearances on WNBC, Fox News, Telemundo, and Univision. He's a popular featured chef, presenter, and speaker at live events, including the Food Network's Food and Wine Festival, the Diabetes EXPO, and the International Restaurant and Foodservice Show of New York. Ambitious vet, grab your pen and paper. Let's dive into the trenches with today's guest, Ronaldo Linares. Ronaldo, are you there?
Right here, brother. Thank you for that amazing introduction and for not messing up my name. I appreciate it.
I practiced it in my head a couple of times before we went. So, brother, please fill the gaps in that introduction, man, and let us know about who you are as a person, man.
And who I am today as a person in 2019. I definitely feel like I found my another step in my gear. You know, I found like a ninth gear where I'm really focusing on community a lot more nowadays. You know, I take a look at my family, you know, my community partners, which is my son, Liam, my other son, Zane, and my wife, Lady. And those right there are my core. And when I say community partners, that's my team. That's my team that I share everything with. And we make sure that every decision is going to benefit their future. So that has led me to really to work in a way where I am now giving opportunity to others, let it be using my stage to build, let's say, my Latino community and my non-Latino community in the health aspect and helping big companies like pharma companies, Merck and Aetna, or healthcare companies or food brands connect with those communities. So I'm like the conduit, right? I'm like that community conduit that brings it all together. And I'm able to bring them to be a low-hanging fruit. Because unfortunately, in the Latino community, they're not really considered that low-hanging fruit, that juicy fruit, which should be. So I'm doing things and my spices to kind of really bring it together. So that's where I'm at right now. You know, with everything I've done, it's great. But I found that by doing all of that, I have this great platform where I could reach places where others can't. So that's really cool, you know?
Yeah. I love that, man. Because when I was preparing for this interview earlier, I was just like, man, this guy has really maximized his platform of, you know, just really cooking, food service, you know, became the best chef he could be in his local community, and now is not stopping there, but looking at how he can use that platform to help solve diabetes problems. And, you know, we're going to talk a little bit more about servant leadership tonight, but I just love that ambition. But before we kind of dive into that, brother, I want to hear more about your transition story and how you found traction when you got out of the Marine Corps.
How I found traction. Well, the beginning was bumpy, man. I had like 4 flat tires, and it was it was not easy. You know, imagine like one thing that a lot of people don't think about as, you know, when we transition out, especially like the Marine Corps. You know, it's you high charger. That's all you do. That's all you think about, and you don't think about what life looks afterwards, right? Like, what do you do? I had an idea what I was going to do. Unfortunately, we had this family business that I was going to come and run. That was like, that's what I'm going to do. But I never thought about that transition process, the structure. You know, we have a structure. We wake up at a certain time. We make our bed. We brush our teeth at a certain time. We take a shower. We go PT. We come back. Like everything is set, right? When you come out, it's gone. You kind of wake up that first day as a civilian. You're like, what the hell's going on, right? There's no uniform. There's you feel out of whack, and then you try to go into work and trying to acclimate, and all you know is blah blah blah. It's, what are you doing? Come here. What is wrong with you? You better not be doing that right now. You need to cut. Like that was the Marine I was, man. I was like nuts, high charger. I used to dip my uniform in straight starch. Like I will fill a bucket with starch. That was my Sunday, and I would just iron it. Like I wanted to cut meat with my crease in my pants. Wow. So I brought that intensity into the civilian world. So I was such a pain in the butt at the restaurant. We had we have this family business, and my mother, like the employees they were terrified. Number one. Number two, they were always on edge. They were upset, and I just looked at them as weak. I'm like, you're weak-minded. You're a weak civilian. You can't take it. You can't take this structure. You need to be held accountable for your actions. I had the right thoughts, but I didn't have the right way of saying it, right? Of sharing it. The only way I knew was to be that Marine, because in the Marine Corps, that's normal, right? You go after somebody, you tell them what they did wrong, and they're like, "All right, Sergeant, roger that," and they fix it. My mother was like, "Nah." I remember the day she brought me into the office, and I was pissed off, man, because these guys were like, "I mean, what's going on here?" My mom's like, "Listen, you're suspended for 7 days."
At your own family's restaurant.
My whole family restaurant, man. My mom's like, "You're suspended. And if you don't change, don't even come back. Go somewhere else." So that really made me refocus. Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I'm getting my stuff done. Everybody's doing their work, which I thought. So I really had to take a look in the mirror and be like, all right, Ronaldo, we need to fix this. And I was covering up a lot of anxiety, a lot of PTSD. Like I was like, by being busy and being this high charger, I was suppressing that. So then I talked to a few people, a few veterans, and I took it upon myself to go see a psychiatrist or whatever, a psychologist, to talk to them about this. And that's how I started realizing where my anxiety was coming from, being afraid, like of normal, like just calming down and everything. So I started going to therapy and kind of finding out my voice and returning to normal, and I started transitioning that way, right? So I started reading a lot of books about self-care, mental health, really getting my mind right. And what I did was accept who I am now. I'm not the Marine anymore. But what I did do was take all that leadership that I learned in the Marine Corps, everything that I was there, I took it down a notch in intensity level, but then I switched it into a caregiver mode where I could, all right, I know I got these tools, but how can I get this work like I did in the Marine Corps out of the civilians? So then I started putting policies into place. I started building and playing around with certain things, and then they started to react, right? So I was starting to motivate them. I started to speak to them in a different manner as people, right? As low-hanging fruits. Like I started like talking on that level and explaining to them and telling them the how and the why. And then I started defining my why as Ronaldo Linares, the restaurant operator, owner, chef, front of the house, back of the house, dishwasher. I started being that servant leader. And at that time, I didn't know what I was doing that, but I knew I was being a leader. And it started evolving and evolving to what it is now. So my transition was tough, man. It wasn't easy. Even to this day, sometimes I want to fall back into that high charger and like, let's get it done. Because sometimes yeah, man, just start throwing those knives, chopping things up. But I have a lovely wife that says, you better stop that. This ain't going on here. She's amazing. Yeah, she's like, pow, right in the face. Like, you better calm down. You can't do that. So it's really good to have that community partner, right? She's like, yo, you can't do that, man. What's the matter with you? So it's always a good reminder. But as you know, that's always in us, right? That's always in us to be that high charger. So it's like being able to transition. I think the key is as veterans that are getting program in the military for transition. Not that's what the thing they have right now. They need to do a better job with that, and then connect them with the people outside in their area, and have those mentorship groups and teach them how to transition and use all those skills that a veteran brings to the table that a civilian doesn't. And they need to realize how to use it into their everyday life, especially in those companies. And let me tell you, if companies have veterans at a leadership position, at a high level leadership position, these companies will be doing 10, 20, 30% better than they're doing right now.
Yeah. No, I'm a big believer in that for sure. And I love how you use the word fix, change, and stuff like that. Cause a lot of things I hear inside these interviews, even talking to veterans, like in the trenches, coaching them and stuff like that, is I hear a lot of them thinking something's wrong with them when they get out. And I think that's a good point to make, is like everyone when they get out of uniform feels like they don't fit in. Fix. I mean, I was fired from my first opportunity when I first got out as well, not suspended from my family restaurant, but I mean, I was fired because I wasn't able to adapt to the culture of the company. And I think it takes a tremendous amount of self-awareness to start being like, wow, I'm being really intense here whenever I need to get over there with them and figure out what's important to that person and stuff like that. So I applaud you, like really doing the work to start calming yourself down, because not every Marine per se does that when they get out. They want everyone to match their energy, right?
Yeah, that's the problem. We want that. We want everyone else to come to us, to our energy level. And that can happen, And I always said, why can't you be like me? Why can that person be as motivated as me? Why can that person work like me? And then I started listening to what I was saying. Why can't they be like me? They can't. Yeah. But I could teach them, show them how they could use their own, like identify their motivating factors, right? Their strengths. Yep. If they're a strategic person, if they're a community type person, if they're a motivated person, like identify that and then teach them how to use that within themselves and motivate them so they could become a better leader. So that's one thing that I started to observe, and I took it as a challenge, right? And especially in the restaurant business, you get every kind of individual to come in there to work for you. And some are like freaking Looney Tunes, and they all have this weird, crazy personalities. But I loved it because I was like, man, I have a good feel for talent, right? For seeing someone's strength before they even see it. So my challenge was like, how can I bring that out of you and see you, make you believe that? Because once you see it in the mirror, like once you believe it, you change. You absolutely change. And that is something that we as leaders have to teach those that have that leader within, but they don't know because they live this life of being suppressed, or I can't. My son says that sometimes, Liam, he's like, Daddy, I can't put my shirt on. I'm like, what did I say about I can't? It's like, don't use this. Why are we using I can't? It's like, I'm sorry, Dad. It's like, what do we say? It's like, can you please show me how to put this shirt on?
Mm.
So just changing those words at an early stage, and even now, but like as a parent as well, it changes their mindset as they get older, because as they get older, when a problem occurs, they're gonna want to solve it instead of finding the easy way and going to their boss or whoever that is above them and saying, I can't do it. Can you just pretty much do it for me? So it's like taking, that's another level, right? I know I completely jumped here like a good Marine, right? Going everywhere.
Awesome. Perfect.
Going from an employee standpoint to a father standpoint, where I could implement those leadership traits to my son who's 5 years old. So I'm setting him up for success. Like I am doing everything my parents didn't do for me.
Yeah.
That I had to figure out on my own, like the hard way,
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's brilliant, brother. I love how proactive you're setting him up, not to be reactive later in life, and how to be more resourceful, man. Because I don't know about you, but one of the best skills I learned getting out of the Marine Corps was how to be resourceful, how to not be the person with all the answers, but actually being more resourceful. I can connect you with this person or this resource, stuff like that increases your value and has your time have more margin to go create other stuff. Right. Yeah. So I love the aspect of like, well, start requesting, show me how to do things, because it allows other people, one, to be able to contribute to you. Right. But also it has you become resourceful long-term in your life. So I love that. So brother, what do you see is the hardest thing for veterans becoming more out of the uniform? What do you think their challenges are?
Man, I think it is feeling, to me, coming out of the uniform, being in that uniform, it symbolizes so much, right? I went into the Marine Corps, and I know you, like yourself, you went in there. Yes, you had an MOS, you had your job to do, but ultimately, if they were to call your name, hey, you're going to when you went overseas, you got those orders, you were charged up. You were like, hell yeah, this is what I signed up for, right? This is what I wanted to do. I know when I got my orders, I was like, Roger that. I was pumped up. I couldn't wait to get on that plane, that C-130, right? Buckle up, shovel up, right? And get there.
It's like a bumpy ride, though.
Bumpy ride. But you know what? That pumps you up, because that's what you signed up for. Yeah. When you get out of the military, you feel like you have no purpose, right? Because that purpose was taken away from you. Either if you're retired or you just MOS'd out, you just got out of the Marine Corps, and your everyday purpose has been stripped. You have that uniform, you have all this meritorious masses, you're a sergeant, you're a high flyer, bro. You are good to go. Everyone is like, Sergeant Linares is the shit. But when you become a civilian, you're just Ronaldo, man. And nobody cares. You're just another dude. Now you have to build that name up again. Now you have to do all this work, and you don't know how to do it. And that transition, that process, I think is the hardest for every veteran. It's getting their identity stripped away from them. Do you know what I'm saying? And not seeing themselves in the uniform anymore. You look at yourself in the mirror, and you come out like you come out like Captain America, right? I'm using Avengers Marvel here. You are chiseled and ripped, and then 3 months later, you got beer gut. You're like, what happened? Who is this guy? And because you have no purpose. So for veterans, that are listening to this, that are still in the military, if you know you're getting out in 3, 4, 5, 6 months, or if you know you have an exit strategy, and if you know you're leaving, have an exit strategy and what that looks like. What are you planning to do when you get out of the military? Month 1, month 2, month 3. What does that first year look like that for you? How does Q1, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4 look like for you? Get yourself a journal. Start mapping out every single day. And this has been my lifesaver, because this is my structure. This is I write down every day, and I look at it. I'm like, all right, I'm good. Like, yes. It's like I'm patting myself on the back every single day. Yeah. So that is my advice for those veterans that are coming out, that I didn't get this advice. Have an exit strategy. whatever that is, whatever it is you want to do, have that ready. Start working at it before you leave, so you have something to go into. And don't be afraid to go into these veteran groups and talk about your issues. It's okay. It's okay to say you feel like hurting yourself. It's okay. It's like, I want to kill myself, because those are thoughts. They're just thoughts. But we don't want to turn those thoughts into an actual and like doing it. You know what I'm saying? I've been down the road when I was a young kid. When I was 12, I tried hanging myself because I came from Colombia. I was bullied. The Latinos didn't like me because I was too white, and the white people didn't like me because I was Latino. So I was like, what the fuck? You know, like, what's going on, man? And I tried hanging myself at the age of 12, man. Yeah, bro. And I did it 3 times. And it didn't work out because it wasn't God's plan. But I think about those moments, and anytime I get to talk to somebody that's in that situation, I could, share what I've been through, and I could tell them with soundly, like, hey, this is what you need to do to get out of that and move forward. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
though I know it's a lot there, but like exit strategy, journaling, super, super important. You know what I mean?
Good stuff. Good golden grenades, brother. I love the journaling. I think that's really good for self-reflection. I journal every morning, gratitude journaling, get my mind right first thing in the morning. And I love the exit strategy. So, brother, what I love is you've actually gotten to the point where you're actually reaching down and pulling people up, since you've been, publicized on some of the mass media that you have, using your platform of cooking, your media personality and stuff like that. I mean, brother, they may be seeing you in your home or wherever you're at, but they can also see you on television shows, over in Jersey, grinding in the trenches with diabetes avocation and stuff like that. So you're really a real life superhero out of the Marine Corps. So you found your new uniform, which I love. And brother, I love this whole new idea that you're doing, which is your next ambition, which is servant leadership. You're creating a 2-day workshop that, I think you said you were creating it with your wife. Can you talk about what servant leadership means to Ronaldo?
So for me, servant leadership, I started when I was in the restaurant. It kind of just happened, right? I realized what I was doing, and I had a conversation with my wife about it. When we exit out of the restaurant, closed that one, and then we just opened the new one, De Martino, located in the same place, Somerville, New Jersey, and then the other one is located in Puerto Rico, at San Juan, Puerto Rico, La Lechonera. If you're anybody listening in Puerto Rico, say that twice, Chris. La Lechonera.
Not even gonna try.
But anyway, so the servant leadership, especially in the restaurant business or any corporation, I think it's key, man. I think it's key because you're holding yourself as a leader accountable for everything. Like, it becomes your fault, everything. So if you take that approach to your daily job, when you are there at your place of work, and your employees, your team, actually changing that whole employee thing to team, it becomes huge, right? And actually starting investing time into every single one of your employees and learning about what their challenges are, what's going on at their home, if they're having issues, if they're feeling depressed, or they're tired, or they need some time off. Being able to identify that and realize that, and actually bringing them in and just talking to them about life, not work itself, and investing into their personal growth, it creates this what I like to call like this chain reaction within the business and the company, where they become your advocates, right? Each person becomes your advocate, and they start talking about you to their people around the coffee table or wherever there is they're gathering, and telling them, hey, Ronaldo brought me into the office today and talked to me about my kid, and he knew he was sick, and he was asking me if I needed some time off to go check him out. He noticed that I was here really late last night. He's letting me go early today. Those type of things as a leader, right? Being able to be a servant to them in that way, where, yes, you're not buckling at the knee, but you're doing enough where you're putting them as human beings as well, not just another employee. They're part of your team. They're part of your family. And that creates this amazing culture where everyone starts looking out for each other because they see the benefit of being working at a high level. So now production goes up within the company, profits go up, ROI goes up, health by default, everybody eating, exercising, all those things become this beautiful dance. And before you know it, you got this culture where you're just pretty much the tip of the umbrella and you're kind of just covering everybody, but each arm of the umbrella is holding it together, which is your team, so you're implementing, right? So within all that said, you're implementing the 4 core values, which are honesty, self-control, respect, and responsibility within. And that looks like, with honesty, just being truthful, right? Teaching that, and you teach that by you doing yourself, and then teaching that to your team. When it comes to self-control, you're controlling the conversation and reaction. As bosses, we turn to be too bossy instead of listening, right? Like, hey, I'm guilty of that, but it's something I work on all the time. So as a boss, as somebody in a leadership position, you have to know that you're in a leadership position for a reason. Your team, they don't know everything. They look at you as that. So when they come to you with an issue or a problem, if they did something wrong, you have to control that conversation. You can't get upset, and you have to control your reaction. And that is a great moment for you to show that servant leadership where you teach the lesson. They know they did it wrong and they won't do it again because they'll feel bad about it. Like, man, I let him down. When it comes to, so when it comes to respect and just being respectful with everyone, period, treating, the whole ad is like, treat the janitor like you would the CEO, like just doing that across the board, learning people's names, being looking at them in the eye when they're talking to you, not looking at your phone. And it's just like being present is huge. And the last, just being responsible for your own actions, for your own being, and being responsible to what you're doing and holding yourself at that high mark. So everyone else holds themselves to that,
Yeah, I think that's great.
We did an employee guidelines, right? So we did a 13-page guideline for the restaurants. I did this like Bible, I like to call it, where like you don't have to think, right? You pick it up and it's there. Any questions there? So we all signed it though, right? I signed it. My brother signed it. Everyone signed it. So now that puts us at that level.
Commitment.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It was huge, bro. It's huge. So that's a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that, you're making a special offer for the whole entire Ambitious Vet tribe. So for anybody that's a small or mid-sized company here, you're offering, now is this an in-person workshop on servant leadership, or is this an actual, online evergreen program that these smaller mid-sized companies can take? Can you kind of touch on that a little bit? How are you delivering it?
Yeah, so right now it's an in-person workshop that we're doing. But we are working on putting it as an evergreen content, something that could be online and growing, right? We're going to put a community and everything to it. Like I said, it's something new that we're working on. And it's a new offering to what we're doing within the company. And my wife is amazing at it. So for regularly, we're charging this for $1,500, which is a great deal as it is. Some people are charging $3,000 for this, but then again, we want to make this accessible, and we want to be able to spread this kind of leadership within companies for them to grow. So for the Ambitious Tribe community, we're offering it at a half price. So it's $750, super cheap, and the results are instant. Like, we find people putting this into an application, like into their business right away. And it's really, really cool because it allows an immediate change. And imagine bringing something in that it's going to create immediate impact.
That'd be huge. And I think there's a lot of companies that struggle with, employee retention and keeping quality inside their organization. If they bring in, someone that's high level that has a proven track record as far as creating leadership, figuring out how do we pull people up the left and right side of us. I think it only makes everyone better, and shows that you're willing to invest in side of employees. So I love the idea. So Ronaldo, we have a tradition here, man. 3 golden grenades. So anybody that's going to be listening to this on the podcast, live inside the Facebook group, or even on replay, what would be 3 golden grenades that you would drop in here right now for anybody that's wanting to become known for something like you, or just wants to create a little bit more impact in life after the uniform?
All right, this is something that, like, I'm always looking to evolve, and this is something that I've been doing, and it's been working tremendously. So the first grenade, the first golden grenade, will be expectations, right? Have high expectations for yourself. If you don't have high expectations, positive expectations, like, I am gonna write another book, which I'm gonna do, like, for me personally.
Yeah.
Marathon. I am gonna get that position. I am gonna get hired. I am gonna get that promotion. I am gonna start a podcast. Whatever those expectations are, you need to set them high. If you start speaking to yourself in expectations, oh, I expected not to get that. I expected that to fail. That's what's gonna happen consistently. So set your expectations high, because that's gonna force you to work towards those expectations at a high level. The second golden grenade will be abundance. Think in abundance, right? I'm a man of faith. I love God. I pray every day with my son. And one of the things is thinking in abundance and bringing that towards you, to you. You set out abundance to the world, whether it be wealth, work, connecting with people, like-minded people like yourself. Like, I am extremely honored to be here with you, man, and be sharing with this talk with you. I appreciate it very much. And setting that abundance of those crazy goals, they will happen. It is weird because life will set it up where you're getting all these opportunities, and you're like, no, this was meant to happen. I expected this to happen. So that's where this ties in, right? That abundant mindset, and then you get those things, but I expected that to happen. So that expectation comes in. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. And the third part ties this whole thing together, which is the community partners. You need to identify your community partners. And those community partners are your family, man. You have a wife, that's your community partner. You have kids, those are community partners. And you need to share what you're doing with them. Like, I'm still learning to do that every single day, more and more and more, and it works. It works in a great way because it allows everyone to stay up to date, stay up to speed of what you're doing. And my wife is really good with that on her end. She's like, every day, it's like, did you put that on the calendar? You need to share it on the calendar. I'm getting a little better. Like, I have, like, behind me, those yellow stickies. So that one is to do, in progress, and this is done. So this was her idea. And, like, this is just this month, and this is every single one is done. Goals that I was like, all right, abundant mindset. I wrote it down, and I've been getting it, and I just been marking them off. And I look at it like 2 days. I'll see what everything we accomplished, and it's amazing, man. It's crazy. So community partner is such a key thing here. So expectations high, thinking abundant mindset, and have community partners. Identify them, love them, feed them good, massage them, just really, really bring them up, man. So those are my 3 golden grenades for the Ambitious Vet audience.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. I mean, I think any ambitious vet that's watching this, they just apply one of those, I think their life would get better an hour from now just from utilizing those. And they sound like frameworks to even your life, how you become better each and every day for your own life, your own employees, and for the world. So I appreciate you dropping the bombs. So Ronaldo, I mean, how can they go to find out more about you, brother? Where can they go? I'm going to post everything in the comments below and for the podcast and show notes below. Where can they go find out more about what you're up to in your life at this point?
Man, definitely, like, I would say go to my LinkedIn page, Ronaldo Linares. I use that somewhat as my blog, and I have all my website and everything there, my Instagram link and Twitter link and Facebook link and all that. But I think for this community, I mean, the LinkedIn page will be most powerful because there we could definitely get on that professional level and I think engage better. Like you and I did. And that's why I love LinkedIn, because there's no BS there. There's no fluffer. So I know if you're reaching out through LinkedIn, I know you mean business. And we can't waste time. We don't have time to waste, because we got to use our time Glocks and keep those people away that are trying to steal our time.
I love that. Ronaldo, I just want to acknowledge you, brother. We had a lot of feedback from either your part or my part during this acknowledgement session. I wanted to make sure anybody's listening to the recorded version, and Ronaldo, when you come back and listen to this, I want you to hear this acknowledgement and have this be received in your heart, brother, is that I just want to acknowledge you for who you are for our community. I want to acknowledge you for being, an immigrant that came from one of the most challenging times of Colombia's cartel wars, joining the United States Marine Corps, and even after that, not settling and consistently setting the example of what an ambitious vet is, brother. Over here at the Ambitious Vet community, tribe, whatever you want to call it, they'll always be your community partners, brother. And I just send nothing but forward progress and blessings to you and your family.
Man, thank you very much. I appreciate your time tonight. It has been great podcast. I can't wait to listen back to it and just see what and hear what we said and get some of those gems out of there. And to the community, thank you for supporting Chris's podcast and just being here listening. And hopefully you were able to get good gems out of this. And I really appreciate it. And then for you, Chris, after we shut down, I got this book, just signed it for you, which I'll be mailing it to you, man.
Come on.
Yeah. I'll be that cookbook author, so I gotta send you that book. It's already signed and everything. So
we're gonna be spicy in our kitchen over here. Thanks.
No, my pleasure, man. That's the least I could do for you, man.
Well, there you have it, Ambitious Vet, episode number 52 of the Ambitious Vet Show with Ronaldo Linares. Do us a favor, both me and Ronaldo, if you just found one golden grenade inside of this episode, please tag us with the number one golden grenade that you got from this podcast and any of your respected social medias. Allow us to gain the fulfillment that we're providing the golden grenades that are narrowing the time gaps from where you're at towards getting you to your next mission. We thank you ahead of time. So if you're an ambitious vet listening to this that runs a small or mid-sized company, or specifically just a restaurant, this man knows what it takes. You guys will see in all the links in the show notes below that he's been, everywhere as far as mass media, and as far as best-selling author, all that stuff. He really knows what it takes to build a thriving culture around what you're trying to create. So if you're looking to get more servant leadership, build a more vibrant, more connected, more closer culture inside of your small or mid-sized company, I encourage you to click the link in the show notes below, schedule that 30-minute discovery call with Ronaldo, and start figuring out what it takes to create a thriving culture inside your restaurant, small or mid-sized company. Subscribe, rate, review the podcast. Feedback is what allows anything to improve in life, and we want to improve for you. So meet us in the middle, and let's get better together. Sound good? Lastly, if you're listening to this, I already know that you're warrior made, but to become passion-driven, utilize just one golden grenade you heard today, and you'll find your life being more meaningful. Without further ado, let's get out in the trenches and let's go get it.